this course will help you to prepare for AWS Cloud Practitioner plus some networking. So yeah, so we will start from the very basic, that is to understand what is difference between the traditional computing and cloud computing, why we require, uh, how we can save money using cloud computing, because you can see most of the companies and now the smaller organization also, like most of them are moving towards the cloud. So what benefit they are giving that all those are moving to the cloud? Because like if we talk about traditional, if you want to do the traditional setup, we need to first buy those servers. Those are like there is initial investment, like we need to do all the setup, all the configuration. So we need to have, you need to hire people who can manage, because we need to keep those servers up and running. So electricity cost is there, maintenance is there, security, for the security is required. So we need to also hire those people who can manage those. It should be running all the time. And like if we are hosting some website on those servers, if the traffic increases suddenly, so we need to also have those backups. So we also need to purchase the additional servers, so that also become more costlier in the traditional method. However, if we go with the cloud computing, what benefit we get is we need to just pay as you go. Like we just pay for the service that we use. So for example, if the usual traffic on my website is 1,000 users and suddenly it becomes 10,000, so I can automatically scale my servers so that it can handle that traffic. However, if instead of 1,000 only 100 members are visiting my website, so I can reduce the servers so that my cost will be lesser. And so that's why it become efficient to use cloud computing services. After
I
that, we
see.
will, yes, we will discuss the self-service service. So self-service means where we install the services and everything we do by our own, like upgrading upgrading the versions of those software. Like for example, if I created an EC2 instance, and then on top of that I'm installing some database service, so managing that database service, its installation, creating backup, everything need to be handled by ourselves. However, there is one more type, that is managed services, where uh, AWS itself provided a database service to us. We did not to worry about its backup or maintenance. Everything is taken care by the AWS. We just have to use the software. Now, then we will learn about how we can access the AWS. Like there are different methods, so we will look into that. Like we can use management console, that is from the AWS website itself. Then we will learn how we can access using CLI command line interface, or there are SDKs are there like Python or Java. Using those software, we can connect with the AWS and create services, or delete the services of the AWS. So that we are going to do practically. Then we will also look into the AWS cost management. Like as I said, uh, AWS charges us based on the services we use. So how that work uh, in the actual, so that we are going to look like for different services, the services or the processes used differently. So we will discuss that how their costing works. Once we complete this introduction, we will actually move to the services that are provided by the AWS, and primarily where networking is used. So one of the most important service, that is EC2. So it's just like a virtual machine we are creating in the cloud. Like similar, we have the system like laptop, where it has some RAM, some storage, some processing power. So similar thing we can create in the cloud. We just a slice of the server we can own, and we can configure, like we can select OS, uh, like Linux or Microsoft or Mac OS, and then we can select how much processing power we require based on our requirement. Yeah, no problem. So what we do is whatever commands that we will require, like it is a limited usage, like Python usage is also limited, but I'll cover that. uh, I'll show you what commands are required and what is their usage, their purpose, so that we are going to do in the course.
So the
And
EC2,
mhm.
the EC2 is a lab. Is that it's like it's like a way of knowing exactly what you look at if you go with AWS for the EC2, or this is just like
Mhm.
um, a launch and configure type of software that we're gonna use for
Yeah.
labs. Is that how it is?
So yeah, I'll tell you. So EC2 instance is a. Have you heard virtual machine? Have you used it before?
Yes, I do virtual machine. Oh, okay, so this is just a virtual
Correct,
component.
correct. So
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
we are creating virtual machine on in the cloud.
I
Uh,
see. Oh,
yes. So for example, if I want to uh, host a website, and so I need some machine like where on which I can host that website. I want to store the data, or the website will be used, so it will require some processing power, so multiple users can connect with the website and access the content. Like if I have a, like for example, YouTube. So in YouTube, uh, I need to have I will need lot of storage so that I can users can upload the videos. So there we require some servers. So server means they require some instance or some space in the server. So using EC2, they can create an instance. So, for example, if I have a website of YouTube and I want to store videos in a Linux machine, so I'll create a EC2 instance with the Linux uh, OS, and for example, I'll need lot of storage, so maybe 1 TB or 2 TB to start with. So I can choose how much storage I require, how much RAM or the
okay.
memory I require. So I can select those configuration. Uh, I'll once I cover the topics, I'll take you to the AWS and I'll show you how we create this EC2 instance in this demo. So you will have more understanding.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. That's great. Yeah.
right. So apart from like pay as you go, we have few more options, like we can do advance payment. Like if I want to use, because I know I'll be hosting website on this cloud and I want to use it for the long term, so I can purchase the service in advance. Like I want to purchase this for 2 years, so I'll get some discount. So that kind of plans are also there. We will discuss those plans. One important feature that is auto scaling. So yeah, as I mentioned, like if traffic increases, I want to use more. I will need more instance. So that feature is also provided by the AWS, that you can scale your systems to be able to handle more traffic. You can scale up or scale down as per the requirement. So that is one of the feature. Now, in this EC2, like this instance is created in a VPC, that is virtual private cloud. So there we need to configure some network services. Like we need to uh, configure like what subnets we will be accessing, like whether it will be a private subnet or whether it will be in public subnet. Then we need to create internet gateway so that internet traffic can be using internet, a person can access that service. So that configuration is required in the EC2. So we will discuss that in the detail. Apart from EC2, we also have ECS. So it's a like a containerized application. Like so there are Docker, using Docker. Some applications are created in a container, and it is similar to EC2. Like in EC2, we create a virtual machine, and in ECS we store the containerized application. So uh, d- uh, we will look into it in the detail to understand in the perspective of networking. Then we have Lambda. So in Lambda, like if we have a coding knowledge, then we can create codes in the Lambda. And so we need not to like install that software. Like for example, if I talk about Python, so to run a Python, we first need an OS, some operating system like Linux or Windows, on top of which we install Python. Then we install the interface where we can write the script, and we can run those codes. So here, but in the Lambda, what benefit we get is there is already an instance created. We just need to write the code, like open the instance, write the code, and run the code. So that feature is provided by the Lambda. And yeah, so we use for this purpose. Next, but the most important is networking. So in the networking, we have different services like VPC, that is virtual private cloud. So that means we can create our own private cloud that no other can access, and we decide like who can access, like through like for example, only person with the VPN connection can use this VPC. If we configure that, so the person who is using that service, they need to connect to the VPN, and then only they will be able to access the services that are in the virtual private cloud. So we will look into it, like how we will design that. Then uh, we configure the subnets are there, or we create the security groups, like where we decide like inbound traffic and outbound traffic, like who can access those services that are in the VPC. Then we will also uh, look into it, that how, like for example, I have there are two services and they are in a different uh, virtual private cloud. Now, if I want to connect them, there are two options. Like either I create the same service. Like for example, I have two VPCs, and in one VPC I have one website, and in the another VPC I have website two. Uh, and if I want to, like they are linked with each other, and if I want to connect, the option is move the website 2 to the VPC 1, but that will take more time because I need to move everything from one from that VPC 2 to VPC 1. But there is one more option that is provided by the AWS, that is VPC peering. So through which we can connect those two VPCs, and they will be able to connect with each other. So that feature is known as VPC peering. Then
Okay.
next service that we are going to cover is Route 53. So it's a DNS management service provided by the AWS. So for example, I have created a website in the EC2, and we can access it to the through a IP address. Uh, and like normally what we do is we do not access any website through IP address. We access those using a domain name. Like to access Facebook, we write facebook.com and not the IP address of that Facebook. So creating those domain names for those IP addresses is done using the Route 53 service. So we will cover that in detail. We will create those domain names, and so that we understand like how it works. Then next service we will cover, that is CloudFront. So it is a content delivery network. Uh, so for example, there are few websites that we use a lot. For example, Google.com or Instagram website. So we the most of the people use these services for the continuously. So what CloudFront provide is they store some they store the cache of those websites, so that we can access those services in a fast speed. So it helped to reduce the latency, and we can use this for our website so that they can be quickly accessible to the user, because the time is very important. Like if a user is not able to access our website quickly, then he will move to other option, because competition is high, there are so many options available. So so if we provide a fast service, then it will be more preferred over the other. Then we will look into the load balancing concept, like if how the load is distributed among these different instances. Because if I'm hosting a website, my data will be, or they uh, is available on multiple instances, and how the load incoming traffic is distributed, so that they will not, like, the my website should not go down due to over traffic. So that so hence a load should be equally balanced among all the instances. So how that configuration, we will do that configuration, and we will to understand like how load balancing works. Then we also have direct connect. Like for example, uh, I want to use a hybrid system. Like I want to uh, host the website on an EC2 instance, but I want to store the website data on premise, like at our site. So I want to able to connect this cloud with my on-premise system. So that can be connected using direct connect. Uh, so once we cover this, we will create a project where we will configure all these services in the AWS. And so through project we will understand more. So here I will also recommend you to create an trial AWS account. So uh, so that we will, because we are going to do projects in the AWS, so you need to have the AWS account, and there we can do the project. I'll show you on my system as well, and you can also practice at your end using that account. Because the more practice you do, the better you understand those services. So it's important that you also try at your end.